Is on DSTV channel 365 and free to air on Nicomsat with its parameters showing on your screen. Vice President Kashim Shettima has called for strengthened cooperation between Nigeria and Tanzania in shared inspirations for continental growth and unity. The Vice President stated this when he received former Tanzanian President Jakaya Kikwete at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Shettima said this has become necessary since Nigeria shares historic ties with Tanzania, particularly in their roles as frontline states in the fight against apartheid and colonialism. The Vice President said it is important to foster stronger economic and social ties between the two nations, especially within the framework of the African Continental Free Trade Area. The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja have affirmed the lower court judgment that reinstated Philip Shaibu as the Deputy Governor of Edo State. The appellate court, while delivering judgment in the appeal brought before it by the Edo State House of Assembly, dismissed the appeal seeking to uphold Shaibu's impeachment. Shaibu was impeached on April 8, 2024, following the adoption of the report of the seven-man committee set up by the Chief Judge of Edo State, Justice Daniel Okumbowa, to investigate allegations of misconduct against him. President Bola Tinubu says since assuming office, he has made deliberate efforts to tackle corruption by funding the anti-graft agencies and not interfering in their activities. Represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, Tinubu spoke in Abuja at the 6th Annual General Assembly. Killed or severely injured 5 terrorist commanders and 35 fighters in Borno State. The terrorists were bombed during operations in the Arena area located at the southern Tumbons of the state. On August 18th, the affected terrorist commanders, according to a statement by the NAF spokesperson, Air Vice Marshal Edward Gambwet, are Munzia Arika, Sani Dila, Amir Modu, Dani Fulani, Fari, and Bukura Arena Chiki. In a different development, the organized labor has called on Nigerians to be patient with the federal and state government following the delay in the implementation of the new minimum wage. The Deputy President of Nigeria Labour Congress Political Commission, Professor Theophilus Ndubuako, stated this in an interview. The call came in a move to absolve the federal government of any wrongdoing, saying it would be unfair to conclude that there was a deliberate attempt to avoid paying the new minimum wage. The People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party have berated the President Bola Tinubu-led federal government for purchasing a new presidential jet, allegedly worth $100 million, without the approval of the National Assembly. PDP Deputy National Publicity Secretary Ibrahim Abdullahi and Deputy Youth Leader Timothy Osadolo described the action of the government as insensitive, while Nigerians are generally facing hard times and struggling to feed. Similarly, the campaign representative for the Labour Party's presidential candidate, Yunusa Tanko, said it was worrisome that the president would put first his convenience over the well-being of the generality of Nigerians amid the economic hardship in the country. The federal government has announced the implementation of the cost-cutting measures aimed at saving at least 10 billion naira as Nigeria prepares to participate in the 2024 United Nations Climate Change Conference, COP29 in November. The annual global event will be held in Baku, Azerbaijan from 11th to 22nd November 2024. Nigeria's Special Envoy on Climate Change and Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, announced the new directives while briefing State House correspondent at the Aso Rock Villa, Abuja. Ngelale says the measures include scrapping payment for a showcase pavilion that cost Nigeria about $500,000 at the 2023 Climate Change Summit, COP28, in Dubai. The United Kingdom has donated a counter-insurgency training facility to the Nigerian Armed Forces in a boost to Nigeria's military capabilities. The facility, located in Ogun State, was officially handed over in a ceremony attended by top military officials from both countries, as contained in a statement from the British High Commission in Nigeria. The UK Ministry of Defense funded the construction of the facility, which was built by the team of Royal Engineers from the British Army in collaboration with Nigerian Army engineers. The new training center is designed to enhance the realism of military exercises, ensuring that Nigerian soldiers are better prepared for the challenges of modern warfare and future deployments. In an effort to end banditry in the Toreta local government area and other adjoining villages, the Sokoto state government has approved the construction of the Toreta-Gidan-Kare road to make bandits' dens more accessible. Governor Ahmed Aliyu revealed this during his visit to Toreta local government as part of his statewide tour of the 23 local governments of the state. According to him, the road, when completed, will provide security agencies with easy access to the forest that serves as hideouts for bandits in the area. The Rivers State government has warned religious bodies and organizations against carrying out any form of medical outreach without the approval of the State Ministry of Health. The State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Adeze Ori, issued the warning during a media briefing in Port Harcourt, Rivers State capital, where she disclosed that 2 hospitals and a spa in the state have been sealed for operating without registration and unprofessional conduct. She expressed surprise that despite previous calls on any group or organization planning medical outreach anywhere, Nigeria's resident coordinator, United Nations Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, Mohammed Fall, says urgent action is needed to save millions of children from malnutrition in northeast Nigeria. Fall made this known when he visited the Stabilization Center, a hospital dedicated to treating malnourished children in Yola, Adamawa State, as part of activities to commemorate World Humanitarian Day. The Supreme Court has reserved judgment on the appeal challenging the re-election of Bayelsa State Governor Doye Diri. The Apex Court similarly reserved judgment on the appeal challenging the victory of Kogi State Governor Ahmed Ododo. The Independent National Electoral Commission declared Diri of the People's Democratic Party as the winner of the November 11, 2023 governorship election in Bayelsa State. But Timipre Silva of the All Progressive Congress rejected the poll result and challenged it at the Election Petition Tribunal. Tijani Ghazali, counsel representing the Attorney General of the Federation, says the federal government is looking to amicably resolve issues raised by Walter Onnoghen, former Chief Justice of Nigeria. In an appeal, Onnoghen had challenged his removal from office in 2019. The former CJN argued that the tribunal chairman was biased and denied him fair hearing. He noted that only the National Judicial Council had the power to discipline him for misconduct and not the lower tribunal. The National Assembly has challenged its staff to embrace technology as increased productivity and modernization. The clerk of the National Assembly, Magaji Tamboa, gave the charge during the opening ceremony of a 4-day capacity building and training program for 318 staff of the National Assembly from grade level 10 to 14. Delivering a keynote address at the formal opening of the 4-day capacity building program for staff of the National Assembly in Abuja, Tamboa said training and retraining are essential components of professional growth and development, particularly in today's fast-paced and ever-evolving work environment. You're watching Midday News coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. When Midday News returns, Edo Refinery gets operational license from NMDPRA. Details of these and more after this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back from the break. This is Global Television, bringing you live broadcasts of Midday News. Thank you for staying with us. The management of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority has issued an operational license to Edo Refinery and Petrochemical Company Limited, Ologbo, in Ikpoba Oka local government area of Edo State. The agency is the technical and commercial regulator of midstream and downstream operations in the petroleum industry, with its issuance of operational license being the final stage of approval from the regulatory authority that would make the plant operate as a refinery. In business, the federal government owes the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited almost half of what it plans to collect in revenue this year for the petrol subsidy it reintroduced in August last year. The report stated that NNPC is owed 7.8 trillion naira by the government in subsidy debts for the 7 months to July, citing NNPC's Chief Financial Officer, Umar Ajia. The government aims to collect 19.4 trillion naira in revenue this year. The subsidy that was withdrawn in May last year by Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu to help repair the state's finances after debt service cost jumped to 96% of revenues was reinstated to allow measures to be introduced that could cushion Nigerians from spiraling inflation that is at 33.3%. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has supplied premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, to the Port Harcourt and Warri depots as it strives to tackle lingering fuel queues witnessed nationwide. Oil marketers confirm that the national oil firm deployed daughter vessels that moved their PMS to the depots in Rivers and Delta states to decongest the trucks that besiege the Apapa depot in Lagos daily for petrol. It was reported that many tankers were currently at various depots in Lagos waiting to load petrol for onward delivery to states across the country as the scarcity of the PMS worsens. The Central Bank of Nigeria has reported a 130% surge in remittance inflows, with the figure reaching $553 million in July 2024. A statement by the Acting Director of Corporate Communications Department at the Bank says this milestone represents the highest monthly remittance inflows ever recorded, marking a significant increase from the same period in 2023. The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Musimi Depot in Ogun State, has blamed the current fuel scarcity in the southwest region of the country on the refusal of the management of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, to make petroleum products available to its members 3 months after payment. The association therefore appealed to the federal government as well as other critical stakeholders in the oil industry to prevail on NNPCL management and ensure that the corporation desist from withholding petroleum products from its members so as to lessen the hardship being experienced by the citizens. Stakeholders in the finance industry have stressed the need to promote digital economy in order to pave way for global competitiveness and sustainable growth. The executive director of the Nigerian Youth in Politics, Blessing Oyefeso, made this known at a media chat on digital economy transition in Abuja. Samuel Odi has details.
Economy is economic activity that results from billions of everyday online connections among people, businesses, devices, data, and process. The executive director of the Nigerian Youth in Politics, Blessing Oyefeso, says the media chat is aimed at promoting digital economic transition, a coalition between the Ministry of Finance and youth stakeholders. He further stated that the event is set to explore various strategies that will advance Nigerian socio-economic and sustainable development.
Regulatory agencies, social impact makers to explore various strategies that will advance Nigeria's socio-economic and sustainable development.
The event, which brought together stakeholders from various sectors, including government, lawmakers, leading technology experts, and youth delegates, aims to foster collaboration to amplify digital economy. Samuel Odi reporting for Global Television News.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has confirmed that the federal government is paying subsidies on the petrol it imports into the country. Though the NNPCL denied paying fuel subsidies to marketers in the last 9 months, it said the government allows it to sell at a price below the landing cost. The company's chief financial officer, Alhaji Umar Ajia, made the clarification in Abuja. The federal government has announced that it has paid off 205 billion naira of the 1.3 trillion naira debt owed to power generation companies in a move aimed at boosting liquidity in the power sector. The Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, disclosed this in Abuja during an oversight visit by the House of Representatives Committee on Power. Adelabu emphasized the need for lawmakers to hold the executive accountable for settling outstanding debts to players in the sector and must therefore sustain their pressure to achieve the goal. The new Director General of the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, Jobson Ewalefo, has vowed to streamline public-private partnership processes to accelerate infrastructure development, bridge the attendant gaps, and stimulate economic growth. He said that public-private partnerships are vital for advancing development across all sectors and need strategic procedures and crucial steps to improve their delivery, considering Nigeria's facility gaps. Ewalefo also promised that the Commission would, within the ambit of the law, resolve all incumbencies that hamper the execution of projects so long as such projects are bankable and viable, important to the Nigerian people, and deliver value for money. The U.S. government has announced a $27 million humanitarian aid package for Nigeria to assist vulnerable populations and build resilience against food insecurity and climate change impacts. The U.S. mission in Nigeria has stated this in Abuja, said the funding was part of the U.S. government's $536 million humanitarian aid package to the sub-Saharan Africa. It said that the comprehensive aid package was officially unveiled by Uzra Zaya, U.S. Undersecretary of State for Civilian Security, Democracy, and Human Rights. The Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, Hafsat Bakari, has disclosed that the unit has begun the deployment of artificial intelligence and machine learning tools to assist in its operations to fast-track its process. Bakari stated this during the opening ceremony of the first high-level retreat of the NFIU in Abuja. She noted that the development will strengthen NFIU's technology platforms, saying that the action was in conformity with the federal government's policy of a paperless working office environment. On the foreign scene, thousands of children in northern Vietnam will struggle to return to school after flash floods and landslides damaged homes, destroyed crops, and isolated several communities in the region, a charity has warned. The country's north experienced an extremely wet summer, with mountainous areas in the northwest particularly hard hit by heavy downpours and flash floods since early July. Nearly 29,000 houses have been damaged and 90,000 hectares of crops destroyed, according to Vietnam General Statistics Office late last month. Hundreds of protesters have gathered at a railway station in the western state of Maharashtra to protest against the alleged sexual assault of 2 children. The girls were allegedly abused when they went to use the toilet in their nursery school in Thani district of Badlapur city. Police have arrested a male employee of the school, but the parents of the children have alleged there was a delay in action. Train services at the Badlapur railway station were stopped as angry protesters blocked the tracks, demanding justice for the children. In a related development, India's Supreme Court has set up a national task force of doctors to make recommendations on the workplace safety following the rape and murder of a trainee medic at a state hospital that prompted nationwide protests. The court, which took up the case on its own, said that the doctors' panel was being established to frame guidelines for the safety and protection of medical workers across the country. It directed the task force to submit an interim report within 3 weeks and a final report within 2 months. Top United States diplomat and Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has visited Egypt for talks on the Gaza ceasefire after saying Israel had accepted a U.S. bridging proposal for a deal and urging Hamas to do the same. Blinken, on his night visit to the Middle East since the Palestinian militant group October 7 attack triggered the war with Israel, flew to El Alamein, the Mediterranean city famous for the World War II battle, and began talks with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi at his summer palace. He will later head to Doha, where he is expected to meet with Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. Both Egypt and Qatar are working alongside the United States to broker a truce in the 10-month Gaza conflict. And wrapping it up in sport, a general manager of Eyimba FC and legendary footballer Kanu Nwankwo has inaugurated a family stand at the club stadium in Aba, Abia State. Kanu, who stated this in a statement in Aba, said the initiative was aimed to create and provide a welcoming atmosphere for families to enjoy football. And that's how we call it a wrap on Midday News. I am Anthony Momodu. That time used to be. There's no way I can see.